And I believe I'm right in saying that no Old Firm manager for either Celtic or Rangers has went their first 5 derby matches without registering a victory and made it to the 6th. And this Sunday is Clement's 5th game. He's still waiting on his first win. Is it potentially a watershed moment for Clement?
So is that it? You saying that if he loses on Sunday, he's sacked?
Well, he could be the first one to make it to the 6th game, but I just thought it was an interesting stat. Nobody's made it beyond not winning their open 5 derby games.
Well, it is an interesting stat, and there's no doubt that there's huge pressure on him. Alan McCoy said today that he couldn't remember a derby where a team was as big an underdog. I don't quite go along with that. I think there's been games where, if you think of when Graham Murty went to Celtic Park, for example, or even the first Old Firm, the first Old Firm game after Rangers had climbed back up the league. Oh, hang on, I need to get this light on again. We'll get that sorted. The first Old Firm game after Rangers come back up the League Cup set. That League Cup semi-final not long after Alan McCoy had left, actually. So I think there are games where Celtic have been, where one of the teams have been bigger underdogs, but there's no doubt that Philippe Clement goes into it under huge pressure. I don't think they'll get the win. I think bookies' odds of 4-1 on a Rangers win is probably about accurate. In fact, you could probably make them slightly bigger. However, going with your statistic, I don't think if he loses it that he would be. I think he would still survive until the next Old Firm game at Ibrox in January, unless a defeat on Sunday triggered a real spiral and they were, and it ended up the wheels really came off and it was double figures. I think the way the Chairman John Bennett spoke in the summer suggests that he is looking at the bigger picture. He understands that there has to be a bit more of a rebuild. They have to look a bit more long term. But as we know, and we've touched on here, it's all right saying that. It doesn't always work like that. But I think as long as he's not miles and miles off, and as long as they can see signs that, that they're, as long as you can see signs, if they lost on Sunday and it was 5-0 and they were just absolutely annihilated, it might be a different story. But I think he could lose on Sunday and it won't see him sacked before the next one.
Aye, no. To clarify, I completely agree. Some of the comments that are coming in, Colin Harrison on Facebook just says "Gav, behave," and lots of laughing faces. Not entirely sure what he's referring to. Timothy McNary, who is a Rangers fan, that's commented before live on YouTube. Celtic are on top for now, yes. However, these things, as you know, turn quickly, which is a fair point. He's
right. I think over the years I've been to Celtic and Rangers games. I think
I'll let you know when we've got.
Two that spring to mind. One, Rangers won 4-0 Ibrox when Dick Advocat was manager and Kenny Dalglish was in temporary charge at Celtic. It was after the John Barnes season, of course, when it all went horribly wrong at the start and he was sacked. And Rangers won 4-0. I think it was the final Old Firm meeting of the season. And I remember that day thinking, God, Celtic are so far away here from Rangers. And you couldn't see it turning. Of course, Martin O'Neill comes in the next summer and it turns. The other one was the Murty game that I mentioned earlier. Celtic won 5-0 to win 7 in a row or whatever it was, and Rangers just seemed so far off. Steven Gerrard comes in, starts to close the gap. So he's right. The money is, I suppose, changes it a bit here. The money that Celtic have got, you think, how can Rangers ever close that gap? But it does turn. You don't know how it will turn, but in the history of the Old Firm, it does turn eventually.
But one thing's for sure, Gav. I think every Old Firm manager needs a big derby result pretty early in their reign. The most recent one, and I know it was maybe only a couple, you'll correct, 2 or 3 when Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was in charge. And I remember getting into that, Rangers went into that Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden, it felt like, even though Rangers were doing well in Europe, obviously, it felt as if Van Bronckhorst badly needed a result against Celtic. He'd obviously got his team had taken a sore one at Celtic Park earlier on in the season. It felt like he needed a big result in the Old Firm, and he got it that day at Hampden with the extra time win. And I think it's the same with Clement now. I mean, listen, Rangers are massive underdogs on Sunday. I've said before on here, it's hard for me to fathom it away. Rangers are going to take something for this game, if I'm honest. But so it's going to be difficult. But I think Clement, not just for the club's sake, but for his sake as manager, as you say, Dan, you're going into his 5th Old Firm game. He's got to find a result for somewhere. And I think, given the circumstances surrounding Rangers and the noise in terms of the changes and players coming in and out and cutbacks and stuff like that, I think if Rangers can get away from Celtic Park with a point on Sunday, it'd be a huge result. Not just for the team and for the club and the supporters, but for Clement.